From the Oklahoma Newsroom, this is an OU update. I'm Jenny Carlson here with OU beat writer Ryan Aber. Ryan, the Sooners head to the Big 12 tournament and playing in that Wednesday play-in game, pigtail game. We didn't really expect them to be there, but here they are as the 9 seed against the 8 seed Oklahoma State. Let's start with Trae Young. His health, where does it stand right now?
Well, went out to practice yesterday, Monday, and he went through the full practice. Looked fine, was moving around on that hip just fine after sitting out Sunday's practice. Didn't really look happy when he was sitting out. He was watching, he was engaged with what was going on the floor, but he was certainly not thrilled to be sitting out. But I wonder if that's a good thing for him, just to sort of reset, get a little bit better physically after falling on his hip. After he was fouled in the first half of the Baylor game. It's been bothering him. He missed a practice right before the Iowa State game as well. But it looks like he's going to be ready to go on Saturday. Well, or on Wednesday.
Wednesday, right? Yeah. His importance to this team. I mean, we've talked about it a ton. Everybody knows it. But it seems like him hitting shots could be a huge determining factor in this game against Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much every game that they've won over the last month and a half, Trae Young has come out and hit a couple big shots early, and then sort of got rolling off of that. That has gone away in the losses. He's been really inefficient at times, and I think it really started with that game against Oklahoma State, the second time that they played in Stillwater, where he throws up 39 shots. I think a lot of people forgot at that point that his shooting percentage in that game was actually better than the rest of his teams, but he caught a lot of heat after that, and things changed for him, whether that's the way teams defended him, which has certainly changed after that, but I think also just the way that he was used, the way that he attacked things. Remember, right after that, they had the Kansas game where he only shoots, was it 7 times, 9 times? Yeah, right. And it sort of changed the dynamic of Oklahoma's offense, and it just hadn't been the same since.
Yeah, and him hitting shots, I think, rubs off on the guys around him because, you know, you mentioned that even in that Oklahoma State game, he was shooting better than teammates. I mean, that's been a common refrain. Even as he's struggled, the guys around him haven't been shooting it great. I would think it would be a huge boost to them if they saw him hitting shots.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, especially guys like Cam McGusty, who is getting a little bit of offensive confidence back over these last 6 games after a long lull for him. You know, Christian James has sort of been up and down, and when he shoots well, this team does well generally. And another guy that's getting more offensive confidence is Christian Doolittle. Now, he's not going to be the guy who's going to step out and hit a lot of threes. He will take them at times. But him getting on a little bit more of an offensive role, getting a little bit more aggressive on that end of the floor certainly opens things up other places for Oklahoma.
Yeah, and against Oklahoma State, I mean, we've seen obviously these teams play twice. It was a pretty big margin of victory for the Sooners in Norman. Then it was the loss in Stillwater that really kind of changed the trajectory of this season. Now you've got Oklahoma sort of in this swoon. You've got Oklahoma State surging here at the end. What's going to be key in your mind for how this game turns out on Wednesday night?
Well, I think the biggest key is which Oklahoma team shows up defensively. I mean, we've seen this team play really well in stretches defensively over the last 3 games. Even the game that they lost against Baylor, they played really well defensively over the first, probably 10, 12 minutes of that game. Then it completely went away, and they played really poorly on that end. But against Kansas State, defense was so big for them. Saturday against Iowa State, defense was so big for them. And they've got a couple guys who can defend well, but when they defend as a group of 5, when they communicate really well, and that starts with Kadeem Latin, Jamuni McNeese on the inside, and especially Christian Doolittle when he's on the floor. He's a little bit better defender than Brady Manick. When that group is on the floor and communicating well, defending well, generally they defend well on the outside as well. And if they're able to do that, then they can win this game. If they don't, they could get beat by a pretty good margin.
Well, and Oklahoma State shot it really well against Kansas, a pretty good defensive team, no slouches themselves. So I'm sure something Lon Kruger is telling his team. Lastly, Ryan, let's talk about importance of victory as it relates to NCAA tournament. We've long felt like if Oklahoma got to that 8-win mark in the regular season in Big 12 play, that they were likely in. But where do things stand in your mind right now?
I think they're in. Now, the question is, could they fall down to one of those first 4 spots where they'd have to go to Dayton first? I think that If they lose, that certainly is a possibility that they could start the NCAA tournament in Dayton on Tuesday or Wednesday and have to win a game just to get into the main field of 64. If they win, I think they're beyond that. I think they might be beyond that anyway, but certainly this team needs to keep up some positive momentum, and to do that, they need to win at least one game in Kansas City.
All right, well, that starts Wednesday night. 6 o'clock is tip time in Kansas City against Oklahoma State. Yes, it's Bedlam, and it's on ESPNU. Be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com every day in the Oklahoman.